Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we're going to be looking at the Season 2 Plus matchups from Zone 3 going into Final Zone. We're going to do a brief look at each of the 9 KvKs that we're going to be taking a look at for this video, and that's just because those 9 KvK groups in S2 Plus do line up more or less with their timelines. So we're going to talk about the matchups, somewhat similar to the Hydra video that we did yesterday when we talked about the alliances that do specifically have them. However, there is a little bit more context I want to provide as we kind of go, and then also talk about the potential matchups that we're going to be looking forward to seeing kind of in somewhat-ish of a priority order eventually. So I'm going to start off not really in any, once again, particular order here, just really the order that I have my scouts in. So we'll start with my S1 scout, which is here in SS2-5. And the matchup here for the alliances that are specifically, or what the expected matchup would have been, is GG83, GG13, KPT's 066, and then ORD, O-R-D-E. Those alliances are here in more Brez. If we go and we look at Doolin, we can see here that this would have been TA, EXG, Sky, EXXL, UDF. Now, there's also BOH and EXS. I just don't know, obviously, if those ones will be partaking, if you will, or have the same opportunities as the other 5. Now, when we look at the actual alliances that have a Hydra at the moment, right, we are looking at, let's see here, so more Brez, we have GG83 has one. If we go here, we see GG13 has one. GG83 also has this Necro. So I wonder if they'll give up the Hydra to someone else so they'll have an opportunity to get in. And then no one's taken the Magma, but that's because Magma's not open yet. And then we have the Hydra up here that, again, potentially one of the other alliances in that region will take. So nothing's really changed there. At the moment, it's GG83 and GG13. That's going to be going into Karadeg here for more Brez. And they're coming in with, unless this has changed, about a 14.1 billion power between the two. When we go over to Doolin, there's 3 alliances here, TA, EXG, and Sky, were the last ones reported to have behemoths. And you can see TA there. Sky has that Hydra. And then there should be the Hydra over here, which EXG has. On top of that, EXG also has the Necro. So the thing here is that you could potentially see one of the other alliances cap the Hydra that EXG has, and in where they might be able to get 4 of those alliances in. And again, that could be something there where maybe they look to get, let's see here, what do we have? Like maybe they can get EXXL in, maybe UDF if they're able to cap a Hydra. So there's potential, right, for there to get 4. Same thing on the more Brez side, right? They could potentially get 1 more in if that's KPT 066 or ORD outside of them capping that additional. So I think the potential for having a 4v4 going in is still likely, right? We'll just have to see how that plays out. And that pretty much covers what we have there, right? But at the moment, it's about a 19 billion versus 14 billion difference. So it is somewhat close-ish. The thing I'll tell you is that we know for certain that we're going to get some good PvP out of the GG fam going up against TA, EXG, and Sky. The other thing that they have to worry about in SS2-5, which we didn't show off, is TM and one of the others as well. That was, I don't know if it's UDF possibly or another, but I know at least TM, right? They can also hit the GG fam from the south in that Zone 3 there for more Brez. So again, something to consider. But I do think that's going to be a good kingdom to watch. And I'm expecting a lot of PvP out of the GG fam going up against TA and their group. Now we get to SS2-7. Here we have what's expected for Zone 3. Oop, hang on, let's go here. Awesome. So this is pretty straightforward. You have feet over here that is allied with NKNW, where NKNW is here, right? So you have NK here, that's an orange. NW, I think, is blue. Yeah, and then NB is green. So this is something that we've talked about a little bit so far, where they have pretty much kind of hold themselves here. All right, NK and W have found arguably a good position to put themselves in that is just would make it difficult to be pushed You can see Owl placing the fort here. That was one of the things we mentioned previously, which was, placing Alliance fortresses close to the Spire area, right, side by side, so that way you have a larger territory space that's being expanded upon and hopefully making it a little bit easier for you to try and attack. However, you can see NK and W have fortified decently well, and they were able to get this Hydra. So, all in all, really they're in a position now where if they can hold this, as you can see, they've already built out here to the pass. So there's going to be a chance for them, and I would imagine NW as well. Right now that they're in here, NW could technically drop an alliance fort. Obviously, they'd have to flag up there, but if they did it right, they could. And again, we'd have to see at the territory on how close this is. If there might have been a way for them to drop a flag here and then maybe a flag here. I mean, it's a little bit of a reach, right? Or if they could drop a flag in here and then maybe here and walk there. I mean, again, right? It might be difficult, right, for them to kind of finagle their way around. Worst case, though, right, they could potentially, depending on how many people NK has, like, let's see what their numbers are at right now. Do they have some space? Oh, they don't. See, they're 189 over 165, so that would be really hard. The only way I could really see them doing something here is if NW was able to take the Hydra, maybe during, at some point, right, let's just say, and then they could eventually cap the pass. Because it'd be hard for NW to have members leave their alliance to join NK. NW would need to swap the Hydra. But the other problem is that they would need to connect to the Hydra. So really, for all intents and purposes, it is pretty much going to be NK and possibly Feet going up against, at the moment, BXS. Because I think BXS is the only other alliance that is capped one. Let's see here. Yeah. No, sorry, it's RTG now. They have this, but I think BXS is in here in blue, right? Hang on, let's click here. Oops, hang on, let's go over here. Yeah, so BXS and RTG will most likely be probably swapping the Hydra, unless they're going to be able to get the one up here, which could be the case if this. Hang on, this is Owl and who's over here in red? Let's see, in BDR. So, I mean, again, you could also just have one of the other alliances, or one of them else, right? Because you have BXS really isn't in a position, and the others probably aren't in a position either. Yeah, so I mean, they'd have to start flagging out to this Hydra. Probably not ideal for them to do that. So I would imagine they're going to swap this Hydra out, and then they'll swap the pass, build all the way through, get the Alliance forts drop down there early, right, if they decide to do it that way. Because, again, if you're having to swap, it benefits you more to swap the Hydra, cap the pass, build a flag maybe then the fort or the fort immediately, and then that way you're set at that point, right? You have a wider area. You can start getting more players in on that territory as well, and then start increasing your flag build rate to then bring in more players, right? So, but I would imagine that, and it's really going to depend on how long each of the alliances do that, right, for each of the divisions, for those that are going to be swapping, because that's something you have to consider as well. Are you going to allow for the first alliance to maybe have 12 hours of time, or 8 hours of time, or a day of time? That's something you'll have to figure out on what's going to be the best course of action to get as many people as you can into Zone 4, so that way you can swap and get the other alliances in. But if Feet is able to cap a Hydra, then now you have Feet and NK going up against BXS and RTG, but the BXS RTG will be a little delayed. If Feet can cap one, then it's Feet and NK that can funnel everyone in. And if they're able to start applying pressure here on the single gate for BXS and RTG, which is basically going through the single choke point down here, around in here, right, they could have some opportunities that they can create for themselves. On the other side, if this other Hydra can get captured, potentially by Owl, maybe... Oh, gosh, hang on. Who's here purple again? Yeah, no, it's the same thing. So it would have to be them, maybe BDR, possibly. But it looks like Owl's probably in the best position right now because they're already connected to the gate, so maybe that can happen. But that's kind of what the matchup looks like there. All right, let's move it, or lose it, going to S3 here. Or, sorry, my S3 Scout, I should say, but not that particular kingdom. This is kind of fun. It's interesting when I kind of switch gears and talk about things in a different aspect compared to what we were doing in the Hydra video, which was a little bit more straightforward, if you will. All right. Alrighty. Excuse me, but I'm going to be honest. That felt glorious. Okay, here we go. SS2-10. So here in this group, we have, let's go, dun, 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 dun. We have what was expected to be AC versus NXS, or sorry, AC, NXS, RXS, and MCT versus GD, LNV, FSKG, BJ, FSKA in Doolin versus more Brez for the AC group. However, the way that it's looking right now, based on how everything's playing out, is that if we look at more Brez, you have NXS, but bear in mind that RXS is, I think, right here. Wait, hang on, where am I going here? Dun, 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 dun. Let me go blue. So you have NXS blue, RXS orange. So there's the opportunity already to swap the Hydra, so that's something. Keeping in mind that each of them have built to their own gate, so that's something. This other Hydra hasn't been taken, and then the one up here still has not been taken. Necro hasn't been taken either. So NXS and RXS have an opportunity to swap. However, I would imagine that if they're able to get their own, that would potentially be ideal-ish, especially given that RXS is already built. If you can see, or sorry, NXS is built over here already. So maybe they're going to let RXS take this, possibly, or assist them with it, and then NXS will take this Hydra, and that'll give them each. I mean, again, there is still some time until that. If you look up here, AC has the opportunity for the Hydra, but right now, it's our NXS that has the Hydra going in from more Brez. But like I said, opportunity there for the swap. So you have one alliance that was at 7.7 billion when I took the data 2 days ago. And then over here in Doolin, we have LNV, GD, FSKG. They each have a Hydra of their own, right? Which means that you could have BJ, FSKA if they end up being strong enough to take one. You can see there's still only 3, right? So we have GD here, we have LNV here, and then we have FSKG, right? Which, for all intents and purposes, is the matchup, right? So it's at the moment, it's a 3v1. We'll see, like I said, if RXS is able to get into the fight. But this is pretty, I would argue, pretty one-sided, to be honest. It's essentially a 3v1, 18.8, almost 19 billion power versus almost 8 billion power, right? So you're looking at about 11 billion power differential that Doolin has over more Brez. I mean, do I think NXS, potentially RXS, if they can get in, will they fight? I mean, they might. I don't see any reason on potentially why, or I haven't seen any clear indicators yet that's saying, from people telling me, yeah, no, they're absolutely not going to fight. But to be fair, it is lopsided, right? And it is a pretty wide margin. Okay, next group. Dun-dun. So we'll go to the S4 Scout. Pull this bad grill up. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably could have done it the other way where we're not transitioning because we're not really showing you guys the boards. But you know what? We like the loading screen. That's our thing. People are like, yeah, boss, that needs to not be your thing. Hurry up. Yeah, more or less. All right, let's get that agua. Maybe we'll do that. Okie dokie. As we go up, we're here in SS2-9. And in SS2-9, we have the matchup, which this is probably going to be a pretty short one. This is MILF and DILF on the, on the more Brez side, going up against pretty much no one on Doolin, right? So the matchup should have been, or was expected to be, MILF, DILF, and JNGE, POTC versus FGHT Club, INWA, INWA, and DK. However, as you can see, you have DILF that has a Hydra. I think this is MILF up here that has a Hydra. Necro, that one hasn't been capped. Hydra up here hasn't been capped. If we go to Doolin, Hydra, Magma, Necro, and then Hydra. None of these have been capped, right? And you're at around 3 days now until the pass potentially opens for level 5 pass. So at the moment, it's MILF and DILF that are pretty much going up against no one, right? And that's kind of the short version of it. Moving over here to SS2-4. Which, again, as we talked about, I mean, is, you know, like I said, I don't think that's going to be the most ideal situation. You know, I don't think MILF and DILF, and obviously I'd love to hear from them, you know, as well, just like, you know, from anyone else, you know, if matchups have, bear in mind, this is the most recent update I have on matches as of 2 days ago from when I went in and asked people, and again, players being kind enough to share either what the matchup is or what the expected matchup is at that time. So now we're here in SS2-4. Expected matchup for Zone 4 would have been 42 TC, NET, GG89, VV89, which is from Duelin, going up against more Brez, which is Fang, MSFT, TLR, and KNQ. However, you could see here from more Brez that we have ROTA that has a Hydra. We have MSFT that has a Hydra. Necro is Fang, and then no one has capped the Hydra up here yet. Now, bear in mind, someone would have... The challenge is that if you factor in the amount of time that is left until the level 5 pass is open, it would be very difficult right now for anything else to really happen. You have K and Q... or sorry, what do I have here? Yeah, K and Q, and maybe they'll swap with ROTA. The only other way you really could have done it is, and that's the challenge, is that you would have had to go over here if, oh gosh, I'm going to have to think about how we're going to word this one, because they would have, I mean, basically, yeah, the only way that this could have been done is Fang would have had to build an alliance fort near a level 5 pass, disconnecting some territory, and then MSFT would have had to build up here to the Hydra. Fang takes the Necro, and then you could have had K and Q take this, and then ROTA take this Hydra, or vice versa, right? That's the only way you really could have done it, along with even potentially Fang or MSFT having to build another alliance or building an alliance fort in here if you wanted to try and get all 4 of them in. However, maybe they'll swap. Maybe ROTA and K and Q will just do a swap here at the Hydra and work their way in. Then we get over to Duelin, and the only people who've capped one, at least again as of 2 days ago, and we'll double check this, is 42 TC, right? So they've capped, no one else has capped any others. Hydra here, Magma, Necro, and then the Hydra over here, right? So at the moment, you're looking at basically a 3v1, which is a pretty wide power gap. The power when we took it was 42 CC had about 7 billion, and then ROTA, MSFT, and Fang, who each had a behemoth there in Zone 3, were at almost 22 billion power. So again, pretty lopsided, unless some things change over the next couple days. Okay. Now we're here in SS2-2. Expected matchup here is actually pretty straightforward. This one was supposed to be SK1 VVV versus EISOG. That's exactly what it's going to be. And this is one of the matchups I'm very much looking forward to, because I think there's going to be a lot of PvP that's going to happen here. Very similarly to the... gosh, what was it? Hang on. What was that other one that we said? Which was, I think, let me go, the GG83, right? So that was one that I am pretty excited for. In addition, and again, we'll go over some of that here in a bit. But this is the next one. And simply put, let's just double check and make sure nothing's changed for Zone 3. But you can see here, we'll start on the more Brez side. So SK1 has a Hydra. We have VVV that has a Hydra. I also updated power as well here because for some reason I had taken this down incorrectly. SK1 is at 11 billion power, VVV is at 9.4, so they're at about 20.4 billion. I think I said they were at 14 or 16 or something like that yesterday in the video. And that was my mistake for an incorrect typo there. And then we look at the Necro, which SK1 has the Necro. No one's taken the other Hydra up here. So... again, will they swap a Hydra at some point or somewhere? Because I think SK2 is in here as well. And then you have Tribe or Trib. So there's some potential, but right now it's essentially a 2v2. Then we go over to Duelin, and we'll see if anything has changed. So EIS has a Hydra. We have EIS has this Hydra. We have EIS has this Necro. Shocking. Oh, never mind. So it's actually just EIS at the moment. I thought we had OG that had kept... Oh, they must have swapped it. I think green is OG, right? Hang on. Let's go over here. Yeah. No, sorry. Hang on. Nope, they must be blue. One moment. Let's go. Yeah. So OG, I believe, did originally have this one when I took the data 2 days ago. So they must have just done a swap for some reason. I'm not sure why, unless they're funneling people in. But they did have one captured, and it was OG hyphen OG hyphen EIS that had one. So I imagine we'll probably get that back. So that way it'll still be that 2v2 for that projected matchup. All right. Let's now go into our S8. And I totally forgot to look at what number this is. We'll find it here in a moment. Only if loading screens went faster. I know, right? People are probably like, boss, why don't you just take your own advice and just use the spectating feature? I know. SS2-8 for this one. We're almost done. And here, the expected matchup, excuse me, is, I should say, is supposed to be BDO, PTW, free-to-play, or FTP versus T-O, equal sign, TI, equal sign, and then FSK. Now, if we start with more Brez, we have BDO has a Hydra. Pay to Win, or PTW, has a Hydra. BDO has a Necro. And then the other Hydra up here hasn't been captured yet, right? So you have two alliances there in BDO and PTW. If we go over to Duelin, you could see here that, again, Hydra here has been capped. Oh, wow, someone else capped one. Oh, fantastic. Look at this. So we had TO that has one. This is a new development. And then we have FSK. That cap there is okay, nice. Hang on, I'm going to add them in real quick. And let's see how this looks. So you have FSK, that capped their Hydra. And let's see what their power is real quick. I realize I'm doing this somewhat the old-fashioned way. 7.1 we'll put them at. Just kind of rounding up. So that puts the expected power for those at, what, 13.3, if you will? And again, they're going up against BDO, PTW. They're at 18.8, so it's about a 5.5, give or take, power differential. But at least the matchup is a little bit better now compared to when we looked at it. 2 days ago. So that is awesome like a possum. And now I think that puts that category into a little bit more of a interesting matchup now that there's a little bit more. And again, I think that was the expectation for us to be seeing some more alliances try to cap behemoths coming up. And again, I'll be monitoring this as well up until the day of the pass openings to see how those play out and if that changes. So far, there's only been one change, which is the one we just witnessed with FSK getting their Hydra. So now we're going to go here into the second to last group, which is SS2-6. And expected matchup here for this one is to be TPD, Dora, FTW2, and RR that are on the more Brez side, so northwest. Southeast for Duelin is expected for NTS, ROE, ROA, ROZ, 50 squiggly W, and SS50. However, if we look at more Brez, and we'll start here for those who have Hydra, we have NTS that has a Hydra. Ooh, wow, this is a new development here, I think, then. Wow, so look at this. We're getting some new stuff here. ROE and TPD. Oh, wow. Let me see here. Oh, wow, never mind. Oh, did I have these swapped? Oh, I bet you I did have these swapped. I did have these swapped. I'm looking at it now and realizing I don't want to say mistake. I had put these in different Zone 3 regions. All right, we're good now. So we will just add a little bit of color here, and then I can always fix these a little bit later. So let's go with what the now accurate numbers or titles here are, now that I actually have this corrected. So we'll start for more breaths. So we have NTS, which is right. There should also be ROE, ROA, and SS50. So we have NTS, ROE. If we go up here, we have SS50, and then I believe this should be ROA unless it's changed. So yeah, so you can see here, they have kind of maximized on the behemoths they've capped there in Zone 3 to get their 4 alliances, which are averaging about 21 billion in total. If we go over to Duelin, it should just be TPD and Dora that have capped so far, so we'll check. So there's TPD, this should be Dora, and then you have the Magma, the Necro, and then another Hydra over here that has not been captured yet. And it looks like maybe FTW2 possibility of getting that. And then we'll see if TPD maybe goes for this. Will they possibly do a swap or something here? I mean, we'll see, right? But at the moment, this is a 14.1 versus 20.8. So you're looking at about a 6.5, a little bit more than that, 6.7 billion differential. Again, I think this is still going to be a good fight, no matter what. I think TPD and Dora are still going to put their fisticuffs up, if you will, but we'll see obviously how it plays out overall. Then we're going to get into the last KvK group, and I want to argue this by saying most likely by far the one that we are expecting to see the most amount of PvP out of. Now, I will argue that I think it is going to be a toss-up between this group and the SS2-2 group. And again, we'll get to that in a moment, where I'm going to kind of show you guys my sheet and talk about some of those projected matchups and some of the highlighted ones that you guys can see. But this is the TFS Noir group, right? So this is Jason G versus Nephisto, right? This is their kind of second time going at it again. And if we look at what the expected matchup was supposed to be or is supposed to be here, it's TFS, FS, TDR, which is on the more Brez side, and then we have on the Duelin side, which is Noir, Dust Dawn, EP77 potentially. At the moment, if we look, or I'm sorry, I should say EP77. If we look at the more Brez side, we can see that FS has a Hydra. We can see that TFS has a Hydra. TFS has a Necro, and then no one's taken the Necro up here. There is some potential, right, for TDR or someone else to take that. I think TDR is the potential hopeful, but that just hasn't happened yet. Again, still some time. But you have 2 alliances that have a behemoth prerequisite to get in at the moment. I think if TDR gets it, then we're looking at, maybe a little bit more of a closer power matchup as far as the difference, because right now they're at about 22 billion for more on the more Brez side. On the Duelin side, we have Noir, we have Dawn, we have Dusk, and then we have EP77. So, again, an ideal spread of 4 alliances. They come in totaling a little over 29 billion power. So you're looking at about a 7.5 billion power difference between the more Brez side and the Duelin side. However, the more Brez side has the number 1 and 3 alliance, and then Duelin has the 2, and then I think 3, and then a few positions down as well, right? Because we have EP77 is at 4.4 bill, TFS at 12.5, FS 9.3, and then Noir is at 10.4. Again, this was as of 2 days ago. So that's what it looks like right now. However, I want to show you on the sheet now what I'm excited about for these matchups, right? So the ones that you see I have highlighted here, right? And, this is like my all sheet. But the ones I have highlighted in yellow are the matchups I think have a higher chance of yielding longer, more sustainable PvP based on the amount of total alliances and the power that's going in. So I think for me, the top 2 matchups right now are going to be SS2-3 and I think SS2-2, and then it's probably and then I think the GG group is next. Now, if I'm rating these based on, where do I think we're going to get the most amount of sustainable PvP from, or the most amount of activity from, I think you have to give it to SS2-3 because they have 6 alliances at the moment that are going in, and they have more total combined power than you have SS2-2. However, I think SS2-2 is very close and right there for the second most looked at kingdom when they start fighting it out. If we go up, I think next, again, we're probably going to end up seeing something here between SS2-6 and SS2-5. Admittedly, I haven't had the opportunity to watch as much PvP in SS2-6. I have an SS2-5, and I just know that there's, I don't want to say bad blood, but we know that it's hyped because of the whole GG TATM situation that's kind of been unfolding a little bit here and there. So I think they're probably going to be the next ones to watch, in my opinion, SS2-5. And then after that, I think we have SS2-6, right, with this group. And then kind of rounding that out, I think we have the TO, FSK, BDO, and Pay to Win, right? Or PGW, so the SS2-8 group. So I think, to me, those are the 5 groups right now that I'm looking at based on where we currently stand. If things change, it doesn't mean that I don't think any of the other matches. This is just SS2-9, not going to really be anything there. This one, some potential, right? If Feet gets in, we already know NK and BXS are going to be going up against each other, and this is a pretty solid matchup, at least how it stands right now. However, and once again, we'll see how those things change. I think this matchup is a little bit too one-sided for SS2-4, and that's just a given. If we look at this matchup, SS2-10, same thing. It's a pretty lopsided matchup, which is why I'm saying I think those 5 KvK groups are going to be a little bit more sought after at the moment, because that there's multiple alliances going in from each Zone 3, where we're hopefully going to be getting some good sustainable PvP. And of course, we'll be here. I'm hopefully going to be live streaming as well once those passes open, and probably each day for the next couple days, or maybe the whole next week. I'm going to try and live stream every day when I get off, and then of course more so on the weekends, because I'm expecting there to be a lot more quality. Well, no, I shouldn't say quality. Just a lot more opportunity for a lot more players to be involved than are able to be at the Runic statue events. With that in mind, though, again, what I'd love to hear is from you all, right? If the matchups have changed from what I showed on the sheet, from what we talked about, let me know. Again, this data is from 2 days ago when I reached out and asked players. I hope as well you all enjoy these these KvK matchups. You know, what is the projected Zone 3? What's projected maybe for Final Zone, if not Zone 3 or others? You know, do you like being able to kind of know where you can go and watch PvP, when that's going to be coming up? Again, Augerstone right now is showing us that we are a couple, right? If you look at right now, I think at reset, here we go. So you can already see, right? We're already here. This is just 2 days. So what that means is that in 2.5 days, less than 2.5 days now, we're going to end up getting this. So if I'm going off of time currently for when this pass is going to open, because remember, pass is going to be 12 hours after, 2 days from now would be, I have to go back, 4 hours and 45 minutes. So that for me is 11, 4 hours is 7, no, 9. No, it is 7. 7 plus 4, yeah. So I'm looking at 6:45, let's say. So that means 6:45 p.m. 2 days from now is most likely when that's going to happen. So that's probably Wednesday or Thursday, which actually is a fantastic time for this group, which is, wow, shockingly SS2-3 group. Wow, okay, so I'm pretty hyped then for that. But again, we'll scout that out on when all of those are going to happen, so I can let you guys all know what those times are going to be for UTC and then also for EST for those that are wondering. So if you want to be on at certain times to, again, watch the stream, or if you want to be on just so you can watch the PvP unfolding, I'll do another separate video on that once I get all those timelines established. And so that way people can, almost kind of like a fight night. Right, for those of you that like watching boxing or UFC and you kind of know the day and time that the action is going to be happening, I'll definitely try to put something together there for you all. With that in mind, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's it. For me, I'll catch you guys next time.